Welcome to the Page of Math. Today we are on lesson 1.1, solving basic equations. This is the first video in a series of videos in which I am attempting to teach you how to think about algebraic equations in a conceptual and intuitive way. I will be using objects that I have lying around the house. In this case, I have a poker set. And we are focusing on 6 chips. And I'd first like you to think about a seesaw. If we had 6 chips balancing on a seesaw, it would not be balanced. We would have to shift 3 chips to the right side of the seesaw in order to make it balanced. We have the same weight on both sides, the same amount of chips on both sides. Balanced is a key word here. In math, that translates to equal. We denote equal with an equal symbol. The word is also a key word for equal. Algebra is a language of math, and it is used to represent our environment. So representing these chips, I would write 3 equals 3. That is a complete math sentence. So now let's shift some chips to the right. We now have 2 equals 4. I see that visually, and I'm going to write that in my math sentence. Unfortunately, this is not a true math statement. 2 does not equal 4. So I would have to add something to the left side in order to make this equation a true statement and make our equation balanced. Hopefully you already figured it out. I already added 2 chips here, but it would be 2 chips. 2 plus 2 equals 4. That is a true statement. So how would this look like in algebra? Let's go back and write our original 2 chips and say we're adding some number of chips. I am also going to write our answer as number of chips equals something. Now, having to write all these letters over and over is a bit tedious. And in algebra, what I can do is use a letter to represent a quantity of something. In this case, C is the first letter of the word chips. This is called defining the variable. It is a math way of telling others that when you see the letter C, it is going to represent the number of chips. I'm going to go ahead back to the original equation and solve the equation by adding 2 chips to the left side. I substitute 2 in for C, verify that my equation is true, and write my full answer as C equals 2. If you're having a hard time seeing that C represents the number 2 in this case, you can use a piece of paper, and this paper is the same size. We would write C on one side, 2 on the other, and quickly flip it to show that it is the same thing. It represents the same thing. Our math sentence says so. Okay, looking at another example, let's say we have 5 chips on the left side of our seesaw or equation and 2 chips on the right side. I want you to take a second and think about how this math sentence might look like and what we might need to do in order to make this a true statement. Now you might think, okay, to make this equal, we could take away 3 chips from the left side of the equation. Unfortunately, that would say we are subtracting chips, and in our answer, we are keeping it positive. We wanted to say positive chips that we are adding. So while a seesaw doesn't have direction, and an equation doesn't have direction for today's purposes, we are going to keep it that we are adding chips. So in this case, we would be adding chips to the right side of our equation. And here, 2 plus 3 would equal 5. Happy face because you are understanding algebra. Now I would like to show you a quick game that you can play with a deck of cards. In this game, we first want to define our variable. So instead of number of chips, we now have a card number, and that card number will be represented by the variable C. give your cards a good shuffle before you get started, and maybe take out the face cards. I did that here. You're going to draw 2 cards, one for each side of the equal sign. In this case, we have 9 equals 8, which is not true. In order to make this true, we would have to add a card to the right side of the equation. And that card number would need to be 1 in order to make this true. So you can write this on a piece of paper, or you can just point to the side that you would need to add a card and then state what that number is out loud. And I would also state it like a math sentence, C equals whatever that number is. And keep going as much as you can do. This achieves a couple things. One, it gets you comfortable with using math language in regular conversation. And it is a quick like subtraction, addition, fluency game. We talked about whole numbers, numbers we can count on our hands. The word equation, that it means equal, it is balanced. A little seesaw to remind you, a variable represents a quantity. Defining a variable is very important. Here are some examples that we did in this video, and thank you for watching. As a bonus feature, I wanted to see if I could get my dog Grace to balance an equation. So we had treats instead of chips. Oh, no. Take a treat, Grace. All right, you made it through. Hopefully you treat yourself, and see you on the next one.